Okay. Hello, everybody, and welcome to my very first video on the Nerd Herd Studios YouTube channel that I just started. I wanted to start up a series where I share with you guys my growing and continuing love for learning how to code. It was one of those things that I never thought I was smart enough to do. I thought, computer science, I've never really been that good at it. What's the point of trying to learn? And then one day I found a free app on my phone and I started to learn how to do HTML and JavaScript, and I've fallen in love with it. I've always loved to do creative things, and this is the first time in a very long time that I have seen my attempts at doing something creative become something that I've also felt like I could do for the rest of my life and have a fantastic time. Because, computer coding can take you in a multitude of different places. In this particular video that I wanted to make for you guys, I'm showing how to set up, the most basic of web pages. The things that we will tackle are a heading, working with an image, working with text, and working with a little bit of color. So we will sort of span the gamut of the very base of what your web page, could look like. In later videos, I will go more in depth on, a more workable user interface. But for now, you just want to get something up in front of people that says, hey, I did this. And I did it all by myself, So, the first thing I wanted to show you guys was how I normally start my projects, which is what I have sort of affectionately named, your coder's bones. The main tags that you want in your HTML documents, so it will render onto the web page the way you want. One of the first things I wanted to talk to you guys about is, picking a text editor that you like. For a project like this, I tend to use, the basic Notepad program that your computer comes with. For larger web page projects that I have done, I use a free to download text editor called Atom that I will show in later videos, and I will put a link in the description to this video if you would like to check it out at a later date. Now, the first thing that I really wanted to do after I got all of this saved was save the document. Now, I like to save mine in my documents folder. I probably should have set up this part so you guys could see it, but it's okay. And you want to save it. I'm going to save ours as page, my page 1.html because I already have one titled my page. So that's going to save it. It's going to say my page 1 up at the top of your Notepad document. And the .html just helps your browser recognize that it is an HTML document, so it will read it that way. Now, the first thing that you want to look at when you've got your coder's bones set up is your first open tag. It says HTML, not just, it's the same sort of thing. It tells the browser what kind of document you're working with. And then you've got your head tag, which is also an open tag. And inside of that head tag, we're going to have what's called a meta tag. And it's going to, the one that we have chosen is a meta, I'm just going to say char set because I'm super awkward. And you want to do UTF-8 because that is the standard character encoding language for HTML5, which is what we're working with. Now, the other thing you want to look at is our open title tag and our closed title tag. Now, in between the pointy brackets, we're going to say my page. Now, this, when you save it and you open it up in your browser window, is what is going to be located up in the browser tab where, the pertinent website title information is shown. And then you want to make sure that you've got your closed title tag and then a closed head tag. So, your web page will read all of that together as one before it moves on to the body of your document. Now, if you were to save this document and then open it up in your web page, in your web browser, I recommend using Chrome. That's what I tend to put all my projects through. You would see a completely blank web page, except you would see your My Page title up on that browser tab. So, what we want to get into is the body of the document. Now, the only thing that is going to be located in the body of our document is what is called a div container. Now, that div container is going to hold whatever image you choose to put in there and whatever caption you choose to put in there. So for us, we're going to do div ID equals, picture 1, and then a closed quotation and a closing bracket. So that tells us, that is the name of the container. Now, that's important for when we get into the styling of the document and we have to call the name of that container again. So we're going to go down, bracket, image, alt, and you're just going to do sort of empty quotations. What that alt quotes do is that if you put, something like the words my face in there, and in a particular browser, your image doesn't load, that text should load in its place. So you know that there's supposed to be an image there, but it's not showing up. So after that, you want to do source. Oh, that's right. We need our equal signs. And you want to do quotations. Now, my image that shows up is titled, this is what I've titled the image. You want, in your source for the image, you want whatever you've called it, dot whatever type of image it is. Mine happens to be JPEG. Yours could be a PNG document. Whatever it is, you want that at the end. And you also want to make sure that your web page and whatever image you are trying to call with this web page are saved in the same place. Because I made that mistake when I first started to try and make web pages, is my HTML document and my picture were not in the same spot. So my captions were showing up, but my images weren't. And I was spending hours, longer than I really care to talk about, trying to figure out why it wouldn't work. And then I figured it out by accident. So I am sharing that with you so you do not suffer the same absent-minded fate that I suffered, so that you can get on with your projects much quicker than when I first started. So, we've got our alt tag, our source tag, and then the image tag is one of the rare, one of the few HTML tags that doesn't need a closing tag. Like you see, we've got an open style tag and a close. You only need the one and then to close the bracket at the end. So that is our image in our div container. Now underneath that, you want to put your caption. You can put whatever you want underneath that picture. You just have to make sure that you have this open paragraph tag. And then we're going to say, hey, that's me. And then you want to make sure you have a closed paragraph tag so that your browser reads all of that together and then registers that that's it and moves on to the next thing. So after that, we're going to, underneath that, close our div container. So that will hold our picture and our caption. Now, let's see. Now, if you want to, if you've already got this document loaded up if you've opened it in your Google Chrome and you're staring at the empty page, if you save this document and then refresh your web browser, you should see the changes. You should see your image and your caption up in the top left corner of this document. Now, if you run into a similar problem like I've run into, where you load up this image and it is massive, you're going to want to open up the image in your Paint. I tend to do mine in my basic laptop's Paint program. And you want to open up the image in that Paint program, resize it to a more reasonable size, save it, come back, save your HTML document again, and then reload your web browser. And once you reload that, you should see the more reasonable resized image in your web browser. So, there's that. So now, we've got our title, we've got our picture, we've got our caption. Now what we want to move on to doing is the heading that we talked about. What will sit smack dab in the middle of the top of your page. What we did for ours is I chose the largest heading, the boldest heading text that there is. Heading H1 will give you the biggest, boldest one that they've got. In a future video, I'll discuss like the different sizes of headings when we get into a more, active, full web page. But for now, we just really want the biggest one that they've got so that we can see it. And it's like I said, we want it smack dab in the middle of the page. So we're going to give it a class of center. So it centers our heading, right in the middle. A word to everybody watching this. I'm super awkward. That's partly why I wanted to make these videos, is because just to show that really anybody could do it, even, super awkward, nerdy mom like me who didn't really think that she was qualified to do any sort of computer science of any kind. So, there is our heading. Heading 1, class, center. I tend to just do welcome on my basic pages. And then you have a closed heading. So it will read that. It will read your div document, your div container, and There's your web page. Now we're going to get into the styling of the document. So we can move stuff around. We can change the color of our text. We can make our text bigger. We can do a whole host of things. Now, for this web page, I really enjoy sort of the blue color palette. So we're going to do the body of our web page, which is, you can see in like the background of my video is purple. We're not going to do it in purple. We're going to do it background color sky blue. And you want to make sure it's all one word. And then a semicolon and a closed curly brace. Now you want to make sure that your semicolon is at the end of that color, because it tells your web browser, you know, this is all that we're doing with the background color. You know, we're no longer talking about the body of the document. And then your closing brace, so that you can move on to the next thing, which is our text. So you put your P up there, like the P in our open and closed paragraph brackets. And we're going to do font family, just a basic sans serif text, your more business-like text, and then a semicolon, indent. We're going to make the color of the text blue, semicolon, text, align, center. Now, what this will do is we have told the web browser the font that we want our text to be in. We have told it that we want it to be blue. And we have told it that wherever the text is, we want it aligned to the center. Now, the only text that's on our page is in our div container. So by centering the text, you will center whatever you've written directly underneath your picture, whatever picture you've chose. So, and you want to make sure that you have a semicolon after everything that you have told the browser to do, and then a closing curly brace. I like to give, a space in between, every section that I've worked, so I can see it as I go down, and I can read it easier. Now, the next thing that we want to talk about is our heading, because even though our heading is text, and our caption is also text, they are not, the browser doesn't read them the same way. So, we want to do color. We want to make our heading blue, semicolon. We want the font size to be 30 point, so it sticks out. You see it the minute you open that page. And then we want to align it to the center. So, there you go. You've got 30-point font, you've changed the color of the heading to blue, and you've put it smack dab in the middle of the page. Winning. Curly, closing curly brace. There it is. So now we're going to address our div container. Now with that, you want to do £, picture 1. So we are now calling back the name that we gave our div container when we set it up originally. Now, you want to make the position of the div container absolute by giving it an By listing it as absolute, that means you can move it wherever you want. Because we're going to put it 350 pixels from the left and 300 pixels from the top. And then closed curly brace. And then our closed style tag. So, at the end of it all, your code should look nearly identical to mine. You can put whatever you want for the heading. You know, the name of whatever picture that you've got, your caption, and, you know, if you feel comfortable, change the colors, change the size of the font. You can align the text either the left or the right. You can put that image and that caption wherever you want on the page. Experiment to your heart's content. But with this code that we've got, our ending web page should look very similar to this. There's me with my caption, darn near dead center in the middle of the page. And there's our heading up top, also dead center. So, that is my first coding video that I want to share with you guys. I hope you enjoyed it. It turned out to be about twice as long as I thought it was going to be, but, you know, I wanted to make sure I covered everything. I do hope you guys are proud of what you've created, because I know the first time I had a web page succeed for me, I was like, yes, I win. So, I hope you guys enjoyed it. I hope you continue to come back and learn new things with me, because I am not an expert. I learn new things every day, and that's partly why I wanted to share this series with you guys, is so that you could learn with me and we could share in the experience together. So I do hope to see you guys on the next video, and I hope you all have a fantastic, wonderful day.